Judge mocked a poor girl, shocked when he discovered the kid was a genius. The atmosphere in the Chicago trial court was thick like smog, heavy with contemptuous and judgmental stares. The gray sky beyond the courthouse's old window pane seemed to bow its head as well. "Present the defendant, Sarah Hayes, before the court." The court clerk's voice rang out cold as stone. A woman in her 50s stepped out wearing a wrinkled old blouse, her cuffed hands trembling. Her face was weather-beaten, her skin etched with the lines of silent labor over the years. Her hair had streaks of gray, but her eyes were once bright and firm, though today that light had dimmed. The judge sat high on the bench, his face stiff, his silver hair slicked back. He was Judge Arthur Vance, infamous for never showing mercy to the poor. The look he gave Sarah held no fairness, only judgment. The defendant is charged with the theft of a Rolex watch valued at $18,000 from the Ashford residence. "Do you have anything to say?" Sarah opened her mouth, her voice trembling. "I didn't do it. I've worked for them for over 20 years. I've never touched anything that wasn't mine. I even cleaned Mrs. Eleanor's room while she was asleep." From the back row, an 11-year-old girl in a sweater with a frayed collar and worn-out shoes broke past security and shouted, "No, my mum didn't do it. She's innocent. Mrs. Eleanor, she hates my mom." I heard her say, "Lily!" Sarah screamed. "Be quiet. Get out of here!" Judge Vance frowned. "Who let that girl in here? Remove her from the courtroom." A security officer grabbed Lily, who kept yelling, "Where's the law? Please, my mom is innocent." Vance slammed the gavel. "Order, order in the courtroom. Anyone else who causes a disturbance will be held in contempt." A man in a gray suit, the plaintiff's attorney, Daniel Peterson, stood up with a look of mock sorrow. "Your Honor, the Ashford family placed their trust in the defendant for years, but that trust was betrayed. The fact is, the Rolex was found in Mrs. Hayes's coat pocket." "That's undeniable," Sarah cried out, nearly breaking down. "That wasn't the coat I wore that day. Someone must have planted it." "I repeat," Vance interrupted, leaning forward, "you have no official defense attorney. You've chosen to represent yourself, correct?" Sarah nodded, eyes downcast. Another voice rose from the audience. "Sarah is a good person. She once saved my child from dying of a fever. Please investigate more thoroughly." It was Mrs. Emily Davis, Sarah's former neighbor. Officers immediately escorted her away. Vance glanced at the clock. "The court has heard enough." Outside the courtroom door, Lily, in tears, watched as her mother was escorted away like a criminal. She looked around. The people averted their eyes. No one dared to speak. "We will now render the verdict." Vance slammed the gavel. Less than 10 minutes later, he returned, not sparing Sarah a single glance. "Sarah Hayes is hereby sentenced to 2 years in prison for theft of high-value property." "Court is adjourned," Lily cried out. "No! Don't you need evidence? What about fingerprints? What about camera footage?" Vance stared coldly at the girl. "Being poor is already a crime." Outside the courthouse, rain began to fall. Lily sat on the freezing concrete steps. No one stopped. Everyone walked around her like she was trash. One man paused. Mr. George, the old doorman from the Ashford building. He pursed his lips, looked at Lily and said, "I don't believe your mother stole that watch. But no one's going to believe an old doorman either." Lily stood up. "I'll make them believe." "How?" George asked. Lily clenched her fists. "I'm going to study law," George smirked. "And how's a kid like you going to afford that? What school would take you? Got food every day?" Lily didn't answer. She turned and walked into the rain, her small back trembling, but her steps never faltered. In a shabby room in Englewood, Lily wrapped herself in an old blanket and held in her hands a law book her mother once hid under their rickety bed, full of pencil notes. On the first page was written, "The Constitution does not belong to the powerful. It belongs to those who believe in it." Sarah Hayes. She started to read and didn't stop, even as hunger gnawed at her. A knock came close to midnight. "You, Lily?" A curly-haired girl with sharp eyes stood at the door, flanked by 2 shorter boys. "I'm Chloe. This is Noah and Mason. We live near the Ashford house. We heard about your mom. We know some things." Lily opened the door. "What do you know?" Chloe whispered. "One time I was cleaning the outside kitchen window and heard Mrs. Eleanor tell her son, 'If anything goes missing, just blame the maid. She's poor. Who's going to believe her?'" Mason nodded. "I got fired once just for staring at her too long. She's cold. Noah pulled out a crumpled slip of paper. I saw Mrs. Eleanor hand something to her son, Ethan. Later, he shoved it into a coat pocket, not his own. Lily narrowed her eyes. You want to help my mom? Chloe replied. No, but I hate injustice and we're like you. No one sees us. No one believes us. Lily pressed her lips together. I'll prove my mom is innocent. I'll learn how to speak through the law. Mason laughed. An 11-year-old lawyer? You going to smack people with a book? Lily didn't smile. Her eyes were like stone. I don't need to hit anyone. I just need the truth. The next morning, Chicago's courthouse was as crowded as ever, but no one mentioned the woman who'd been led away in cuffs. In the papers, Mrs. Eleanor declared, We're heartbroken, but the truth is the truth. Maids are trustworthy until they see opportunity. Attorney Daniel Peterson added, No one stands above the law. We trust the court's impartial decision. No one asked Lily anything. No one asked about the wound cracking open in a girl's chest. Sarah Hayes, a mother, a housekeeper, an invisible woman, was sentenced. No apology, no hope. Only a ragged girl standing at the courthouse gates, looking up at the Chicago sky, whispering to herself, Mom, I won't let it end like this. The next morning, Lily went to the Englewood Public Library, a place few poor kids ever dared enter. The elderly librarian, Miss Evelyn Reed, eyed her with suspicion. Kid, this ain't a playground, Lily replied politely. I want to borrow materials on criminal law and court procedures. Ms. Reed narrowed her eyes. A poor kid studying law. Do you even know this is the language of the elite? I don't need to belong to any class, Lily said. I just need justice for my mom. Silence. Then Ms. Reed stepped behind the counter and pulled out a pile of old materials. Take it and don't tear anything. Every drop of ink here is worth more than your meals. Thank you, ma'am, Lily bowed. The kids divided tasks. Lily studied the law. Chloe gathered gossip in the rich neighborhoods. Noah canvassed pawn shops within a 10-mile radius. Mason snuck into tech stations to track down camera data. During one lead, Noah came face to face with a burly, bearded man in sunglasses. Mr. Russo, owner of Empire Pawn. You're asking about the Rolex? No kid dares ask me that, Russo sneered. Noah replied calmly. Unless you want the cops to hear about that gold necklace that was reported missing last week and still shows up in your ledger. Russo scowled. Fine, the Rolex. Blonde kid, tall, pretty face. Sold it 3 days ago. No documents, but I snapped a photo just in case. Noah lit up. Can you send me that photo? What's in it for me? Noah slipped him a note. List of new rising thieves in Wicker Park. From Mason, our intel guy. Good enough, Russo burst into laughter. You kids are something else. Here, take it and be careful. Meanwhile, across town, Chloe snuck into Alinea, the restaurant where Mrs. Eleanor lunched with her wealthy friends. She disguised herself as a news server and hid behind a curtain in a private dining room. I cleaned up everything, Eleanor's voice rang out. That little maid, she's probably crying in jail now. Ethan's birthday gift. Consider it sorted, right? Another woman laughed. You're so clever. I should try that with my own house staff. Chloe recorded everything, her heart pounding. Lily sat at the desk, writing down each legal clause one by one. Her eyes were sunken with dark circles, and her fingers blistered from writing too much. But her gaze was brighter than ever. Mason walked in. Newsflash. The security cameras at the Ashford house were wiped remotely over the internet, but I think I can recover them. Lily looked up. You sure? As sure as my mom when she wins the lottery. But it'll take time, Lily nodded. Do it! A week later, they all gathered in the rented room. On the table were the audio recording of Eleanor's threat, a photo of Ethan selling the watch at a pawn shop, a recording of the restaurant conversation, and a partially recovered clip from the security camera footage. Lily slammed her palm on the table. This still isn't enough, Chloe sighed. What else do you want? We have almost everything. Lily gritted her teeth. We don't have a motion for retrial. No one's agreed to listen to us yet. Mason sat down. So what are you going to do? Lily stood up. I'm going to file a motion for an evidentiary hearing. I'll write it like a third-year law student. I'll cite every statute, every clause. Noah's eyes widened. Are you insane? Lily replied, her eyes burning. No, I'm just a daughter who refuses to stay silent. The petition was written overnight. Lily spent 3 days perfecting every word. She asked Mr. George, the old doorman, to review it. George exhaled after reading it. "Kid, you write like a real law student." "But Vance won't just let this go," Lily said simply. "I don't need him to agree. I just need him to listen." On Monday morning, Lily walked into the courthouse holding the petition, stamped and accepted by the court clerk. She had filed everything correctly and on time. The clerk asked, "What are you submitting?" Lily replied, "A request for an evidentiary hearing with full documentation." "You think anyone's going to read this? Is this a joke?" Lily didn't blink. "No, it's the law. And the law is no joke." Judge Arthur Vance sat in his office receiving the file from the clerk. He frowned when he saw the name of the filer. That poor kid again. He flipped through a few pages, his eyes slowing down. Every citation was accurate, each argument well-structured. This couldn't be dismissed easily. He nodded. "Fine, 10 days from now. An exceptional evidentiary hearing. Let's see what this girl thinks she's doing." Lily stepped out of the courthouse, looked up at the Chicago sky and whispered, "Mom." I made them listen. In the Gold Coast Mansion District, everything was washed in rosewater and lies. That morning, outside the Ashford residence, a sea of cameras, microphones, and reporters crowded the gate like mushrooms after the rain. Their banner was already set up. The Ashford family, victims of betrayal. Eleanor Ashford appeared in a luxurious navy blue dress, a Hermes scarf draped around her neck, stepping out like a queen at a funeral. Her makeup was flawless, and her eyelashes seemed to flutter exactly in sync with the camera shutters. "We still can't believe it happened. Sarah was once part of our family," she said with a trembling voice. "I always treated her like kin. But trust is a double-edged sword." A reporter, Mark Jennings from the Chicago Tribune, raised his hand. "Mrs. Ashford, some say this might have been a misunderstanding." She frowned. "A misunderstanding? When the Rolex was found in her coat pocket? When my son saw it with his own eyes? Now I believe in justice, and justice has spoken." Ethan Ashford, her son, stood beside her, looking somber and modest like he'd just come from a confessional. He occasionally lowered his head but said nothing. In the back, veteran reporter David Chen muttered to a colleague, "Where'd that kid learn to act, Royal Drama School?" "Shoo," the other replied. "Careful or we'll get sued." Far behind the barricade, Lily stood silently, eyes fixed on Eleanor. Her hand clenched the fraying strap of her backpack as if trying to crush the lies on display. "She's acting like my mom's a murderer," Lily murmured. Beside her, Chloe whispered, "Careful, security's everywhere." Noah slipped a small USB into Lily's hand. "This is the recovered footage from Mason. Only a part of it, but enough to show Ethan taking the watch and stuffing it into your mum's coat." Lily held it tightly, her heart pounding. "The video cuts off after that. Looks like the system was programmed for auto-delete," Noah added. Lily stared at Eleanor, still sobbing for the cameras, then turned to her friends. "See that? The system isn't broken. It was built this way," Chloe asked softly. "So what now?" Lily clenched her fist. "No one believes us, but we'll make them see." That afternoon, Lily visited attorney Benjamin Clark, who once served as legal aid to Judge Vance. She tracked him down through the public library. "Who are you?" Clark asked, looking up from a desk buried in paperwork. "Lily Hayes, daughter of Sarah Hayes, the woman wrongfully convicted." Clark frowned. "I remember that case. She had no lawyer. A rushed trial. She couldn't afford one," Lily said flatly. "But I have new evidence. I need someone who understands the law to confirm if it's admissible." Clark looked into the girl's eyes. A strange silence fell. "All right?" "Show me." Lily played the video. Though brief, the beginning was clear. Ethan Ashford entered the room, picked up the Rolex, looked around, then quietly stuffed it into a coat hanging behind the door. That coat clearly wasn't his. Clark leaned back. "Wow, you see it?" Lily pressed. "They might dismiss it for a missing conclusion," Clark said bluntly. "And the middle was cut. But if you have supporting evidence..." Lily laid out the audio recordings from Chloe and Noah, plus the photo of Ethan at the pawn shop. Clark fell into thought. A lead counsel wouldn't touch this. But if you're stubborn enough, you could try submitting it to the court's special review board. Lily nodded. "I won't back down." Clark gave a wry smile. "You're a strange kid. Most girls your age are out playing soccer," Lily replied. I'm fighting for my mother. That evening at the Ashford residence, Eleanor held a glass of red wine while sitting in an imported Italian leather chair, warm light casting a glow on her perfect hair. "Ethan, you should be grateful to me," she said in a lullaby soft tone. "Without me, you'd be in juvenile detention." Ethan hesitated. "I didn't think it would go this far." Silence. "You messed up, but I fixed it." "Don't make me fix it again," Eleanor warned. "Those kids, Lily and her street crew, they're digging into something," Ethan said quietly. Eleanor laughed. "Poor kids don't have a voice. If they did, they wouldn't be poor." Lily and her friends sat in their room organizing the evidence. Mason asked, "What do we do if the judge rejects the petition again?" Lily answered without hesitation, "We keep going. This system won't fall from one blow. It'll fall from persistence." Chloe looked at her and said softly, "You're not like other kids." Lily looked back. "Because my mom is being buried alive." A week later, the media exploded with headlines. 11-year-old girl's petition accepted by Judge Vance. Exceptional hearing scheduled for next Friday. Eleanor turned pale when she heard. In the family meeting room, she slammed the table. "You fools! Who let that girl submit a successful motion?" Lawyer Daniel Peterson stammered, "We thought it would be dismissed immediately." Eleanor screamed, "Get ready! If everything comes out, I swear I won't go to jail for your screw-ups." That night, Lily climbed to the rooftop alone, looking out over the sparkling lights of Chicago. She pulled out the letter her mother wrote from prison, only a single line. "I believe in you because you're the last piece of justice left in this world." She took a deep breath. "Mom, I won't let you down." The day of the exceptional hearing, Courtroom 3 at the Cook County Circuit Court was packed. Local TV stations, newspaper reporters, even law students from the University of Chicago were present, eager to witness this bizarre trial where a nameless child had requested to present before a judge. Arthur Vance was already seated at the bench. His face was colder than usual, his gaze openly scornful as he looked down at Lily Hayes, who was carefully arranging documents on a small podium. "Lily Hayes," Vance's voice rang out, stern. "You have 10 minutes. I'll cut you off if you go off topic." "Thank you, Your Honor," Lily replied, her voice shockingly steady. A few chuckles came from Daniel Peterson and the plaintiff's team. A kid reading law off crumpled paper. Vance tapped his gavel lightly. Silence. "Let the junior attorney begin." Lily lifted her head, her eyes gleaming like steel. "Your Honor, I am the daughter of the defendant, Sarah Hayes, who was sentenced a month ago for grand larceny. Today I intend to present evidence suggesting serious procedural errors and flaws in the evidence used to convict her." A wave of whispers filled the courtroom. One female law student whispered to her friend, "She's quoting statutes like a third year." Lily continued, "According to Section 11.1 of the Criminal Procedure Code, all evidence must be evaluated objectively and without undue influence. However, in my mother's trial, there was no fingerprint analysis on the alleged stolen item, and the surveillance footage was reported as a technical failure without third-party verification." Vance raised an eyebrow. Lily pulled out a USB drive and handed it to the clerk. "I request permission to play a recovered video segment from the Ashford family's deleted surveillance system." On the screen, Ethan Ashford appeared, entering a room, glancing around, picking up the Rolex, and placing it into a coat hanging behind the door. The coat belonged to Sarah. The whispers turned into audible gasps. Lily continued, "The video is only 14 seconds long as the rest was intentionally deleted. But if the court wishes, our tech team can demonstrate the data was remotely tampered with." Vance interrupted. "Did you just say tech team? Are you running an investigation from a basement apartment?" A burst of laughter echoed through the room. Lily didn't flinch. "Yes, sir. From a basement, but with the law and the truth," Daniel Peterson sneered. "I've never seen anyone so pitifully arrogant." Lily turned to him. "And you're a lawyer who laughs at the suffering of the innocent." Vance slammed his gavel. "I will not allow insults toward legal representatives." Lily bowed her head. "My apologies, but I will not allow the truth to be buried in silence either." A law student raised their hand. "Your Honor, she's upholding the spirit of the law." Vance pointed sharply. "Speak again and you'll be removed from the courtroom." Young attorney Jessica Lane, sitting beside Peterson, whispered, "We should recheck that footage." Peterson scowled. "Be quiet. She's just a kid." Don't question a case we've already won. Lily then presented an audio clip of Eleanor saying, "If you don't clean up every trace, Mrs. Hayes won't survive prison." A reporter blurted out, "Oh my God." Vance frowned. "This evidence has not been verified. It is inadmissible." Lily raised her hand. "Your Honor, I have acoustic verification from an expert, Dr. Logan Harris, whose signature is on the request form. I've attached the confirmation letter." Vance flipped through it, lips pressed tightly. The room went completely silent. "We will review," he muttered through gritted teeth. "This hearing is temporarily suspended for evidence verification." Before Lily could say anything else, Vance stood and walked out. In the hallway, Jessica Lane caught up with Lily. "Lily?" She turned. "Who are you?" "Jessica, legal assistant to Mr. Peterson. Listen, I think you're right. I reviewed the footage. It's real. But if I say anything, I'll lose my job." Lily was silent for a moment, then said, "So you choose silence?" Jessica looked at her. I'm still thinking," Lily nodded. "You don't have much time." An hour later, at a small cafe in Englewood, Lily sat with her friends. No one said a word. Chloe sighed. "You did everything you could." Lily rested her head on the table. "No, I haven't won." Noah placed a hand on her shoulder. "But at least the courtroom heard you." Mason muttered, "I overheard Vance tell the clerk he's going to reject it. Said the evidence wasn't legally complete." Lily slammed her hand on the table. "He decided that before the hearing even began." Chloe looked at her quietly. "So are you giving up?" The girl lifted her head, eyes bloodshot. "No, I'll find another way." In his private office, Arthur Vance sat across from lawyer Daniel Peterson. "This case is becoming a problem." Peterson poured red wine. "That kid is just a media flare-up. Give it a day, it'll fade." Vance nodded. "Then make it fade faster. I won't let some kid ruin my career." That night, Lily returned to the apartment and sat at her desk. On the wall was a photo of her mother, Sarah, smiling in her youth. She stared at the photo and whispered, "Mom, they don't want to listen. But I won't stay silent. If I can't win in court, I'll win in the hearts of the people." She picked up her pen and began drafting a new plan. This time, not just legal, but public. The media, the people, social networks. The truth needed to be seen from every shadow. Chicago never sleeps, but what awakens in the dark isn't the lights. It's conspiracies, whispers, and souls rising for justice. Lily pinned a layout of the Ashford residence to the wall. Below it, she arranged the USB photos and audio clips in rows. The small room had become a war room. "We're out of time," Lily said, eyes scanning her friends. "If we want to save my mom, we have to strike now." Noah sat cross-legged, tilting his head. "What do you want to do? We're just kids. How do we strike at the powerful?" "We are the truth," Lily replied. "And truth doesn't need power. It only needs a chance to be seen." Mason, chewing the last bite of an old sandwich, wiped his hands on his pants. "I found out the camera system at the Ashford house is run by a network company called SentryCam. They have a satellite office in Evanston. We could recover the original footage if we access it." Chloe slapped the table. "I have an update. Someone from Tiffany & Co. said Ethan tried to sell the Rolex there, but was turned away. No papers. The guy's name is Kevin Miller. I've scheduled a meeting." Lily nodded. "Good. You go with Noah. Bring the recordings and photos. Mason, can you break into the system?" Mason smirked. "Not break in, just borrow access credentials for about 30 minutes. Chloe chuckled. 30 minutes without getting caught is a lifetime for us." Lily pulled out a handwritten motion, stamped provisionally by the Englewood Administration Office. "This is a legal petition. I wrote it like a third-year student. Tomorrow morning we submit it with all the evidence for the exceptional presentation hearing that Judge Vance approved." Noah asked, "You really think he'll listen?" Lily looked down at the table. "No, but he'll be forced to witness." Near midnight, Mason threw on a black hoodie and slipped past the security fence at SentryCam. He went straight to the back door, where a vent had been removed the day before. Inside the server room, blinking lights filled the air. Mason whispered into his headset, "Lily, I'm in." Lily responded, "Find the Ashford living room feed. From the 12th of last month, between 3:30 and 4 p.m. "Got it," Mason typed fast. "Here it is." Part of it wasn't overwritten. "But I need a high-level access code." Lily paused. I still have that tech ID from Mr. Carlos, the guy my mom helped fix a computer for. Mason grinned. Classic Lily, let's see. Yes, it works. I'm downloading. Suddenly a red warning light blinked. Someone knows you're there, Lily whispered. Mason pulled out the USB and hid it in his shoe. I'll take the same way out. If I'm not back in 10 minutes, release everything. No, Lily gritted her teeth. You'll be back. At the same time, in a small cafe near Millennium Park, Chloe and Noah met Kevin Miller, a jewelry store employee. Kevin, wearing a turtleneck sweater, looked nervous. You kids, you shouldn't be involved in this. Noah placed a photo of Ethan Ashford holding the Rolex on the table, alongside the store's camera still. Have you seen this guy? Kevin looked at it and nodded. That guy came in 3 days ago, tried to sell it. I got suspicious, asked for documentation. He left. Chloe held up a recorder. Are you willing to confirm that? Kevin glanced around, lowering his voice. I'm just an employee. If I speak out, I lose my job. Noah said gently. You'll lose more if justice doesn't exist. We're trying to save someone innocent. A moment of silence. Then Kevin sighed. Fine, record. Mason returned to the apartment with a large tear in his shirt. I was chased. But I made it. Lily hugged him tightly. Well done. We have everything we need. She inserted the USB into the computer. The video played. This time it was clear and continuous. Ethan stealthily took the watch, slipped it into Sarah's coat, then signaled toward the security system. There was no confusion, only calculation. Lily whispered, "This is the sentence of a lie." The next morning at the Chicago courthouse, once again, Lily walked through the massive front doors, this time not as a grieving child, but as someone carrying the truth. In the hallway, lawyer Daniel Peterson spotted her and shook his head slightly. Back to playing the child hero. Lily replied, "Not a hero, just a daughter." Attorney Jessica Lane stepped up, looked at Lily for a moment, then said, "I'll be in the audience." "I won't speak, but today I'm on your side." Lily nodded. Inside the courtroom, Arthur Vance scowled. "This time, if the evidence is insufficient, I will close off all future opportunities for appeal." Lily stood straight. "Your Honor, I present new evidence, including the original video footage from the surveillance system, a witness confirmation from a jewelry store employee, and a legal petition verified by the administrative office." Chloe stood and handed the evidence to the clerk. The clip played. This time no one could deny it. Silence blanketed the courtroom. Ethan was clearly visible, the thief, the accuser, the one who got an innocent woman imprisoned. Kevin Miller was also called to testify. He confirmed the person in the picture was Ethan Ashford. "I refused to buy the Rolex because he had no paperwork." Vance was speechless. Lily approached the podium, her voice slightly trembling. "I'm not a lawyer. I don't wear robes, but I have the truth. I have friends and I have faith. I can't sit still while my mother is falsely accused, while this system chooses to protect the rich and trample the poor. I know we don't have power, but we have persistence." She raised her hand and pointed at the image of Eleanor Ashford crying on TV. "She's performing. But my mom, she cries in a cell where no one sees." The courtroom was silent. Then a reporter whispered, "Write down every word." An elderly female attorney nodded from the back. "That child is no longer just a child." Vance struck the gavel. "Court will recess. I need to review all the files. A decision will be announced within 72 hours. Lily stood still, her heart seemingly stopped. But this time she knew silence meant something was changing. Chicago remained bitterly cold even as the sun rose. The second hearing day, scheduled by Judge Arthur Vance himself, had the whole city holding its breath. But in a corner of the Englewood slums, fear wasn't about the court. It came from something darker. Lily had just left a bakery when two strange men blocked her path. "You the Hayes kid?" one asked with a sneer, cigarette breath lingering. Lily clutched her bag. "I don't know you, so I don't need you to." The other man swung a punch that landed in Lily's stomach. She collapsed. "Your mum should have rotted in jail," the first one spat. Lily struggled to get up, blood on her lips. I'm not afraid of you." A kick landed on her back. Blood dripped from her mouth. She curled up, eyes wide but tearless. "You're messing with the whole system." "You don't know who you're dealing with," one said before they vanished into a dark alley. When Lily came to, an older man was dabbing blood from her forehead. It was Mr. Robert Evans. Lily a taxi driver who used to work near the Ashford estate. Sarah had helped him after a minor stroke 2 years earlier. "Hayes girl, it's me, Robert." "Stay calm." Lily tried to sit up, wincing. "I have to get to court." Robert shook his head. "You're covered in blood, son. Kid. They won't let you in like that?" Lily whispered, her vision blurry. "If I don't show up today, my mum might never be free." Robert sighed heavily. "All right, get in. I'll drive." Inside the courtroom, murmurs rose as Vance checked his watch. 10 minutes late. "Where is the witness?" reporters whispered. Daniel Peterson leaned toward Jessica. "She's out of moves." "Kids' games never last." Jessica stayed silent, eyes fixed on the door. Just then, the doors burst open. Lily entered, shirt torn, dried blood on her face, one arm clumsily bandaged. The room fell dead silent. Judge Vance stood abruptly. "What happened to you?" Lily walked to the podium, her voice hoarse. "I'm here to finish the truth." Vance looked at her, then around the room. "Who allowed you in here like this?" Lily didn't back down. "No one did. I walked in myself because my mother needs justice, and the truth doesn't run on a schedule." Applause broke out from the back rows. Vance slammed his gavel. "Silence." Jessica whispered to Peterson. "What now?" "That girl is half dead and still showed up." Peterson glared. "Precisely because she's fearless, we must shut her down." Lily opened her torn backpack. "Your Honor, today I present the final portion of the file. A technical analysis from engineer Dr. Logan Harris, confirming the video was not edited, but intentionally deleted." Chloe stepped forward, handing the file to the clerk. Vance reviewed it, speechless. Lily continued. "Additionally, I have a written testimony from a third witness, Kevin Miller, confirming that Ethan Ashford tried to sell the Rolex without paperwork." The clerk passed it along. Peterson stood. "Objection. The witness is not present in court." Lily replied. "He's under protection due to threats, but I have a direct audio recording of our meeting." The clip played. Kevin Miller spoke clearly, word by word. "That man was Ethan. I refused to buy the watch because I had doubts. Later, I was warned not to get involved with rich folks' affairs." The courtroom was as silent as a funeral. Vance looked at Lily. "Anything else?" Lily nodded. "Just one thing." She flipped to the final page in her file. "This is a statement I wrote. It's not evidence, but it's the truth. My mother isn't perfect, but she's good. She did laundry for the Ashford family, mopped floors while they slept, once saved their child from suffocation when the nanny was careless. But they never even called her by her full name, just the maid." She looked straight at the judge. "Your Honor, if someone is convicted just for being poor, then this courtroom is no better than a black market." Vance gripped his gavel tightly, eyes narrowed. "Do you understand what you just said?" Lily nodded. "I do, and I said it as a child who has nothing left but the truth." As the presentation ended, Vance made no announcement. He stood and left the bench. Peterson approached Lily. "You're good, kid, but don't get delusional. Right and wrong don't change what's already been bought." Lily stared at him, unblinking. "Then I'll make sure everyone knows exactly how much the lie cost." Robert Evans drove Lily back to the apartment. "You doing okay?" he asked. Lily exhaled. "I'm fine. Better than ever." Robert nodded. "Your mom once kept me from getting fired. One day I got sick driving my boss to the airport. She saw me passed out by the car, called an ambulance, stayed with me till morning. No one knew. No one thanked her." Lily stayed quiet, then said softly, "Because she never did it for thanks. She just wanted to live right." At the Ashford house, Ethan screamed at his mother. "We're not getting out of this." Eleanor hurled her wine glass to the floor. "Shut up! I didn't raise you to be this pathetic." Ethan collapsed into the chair. "That kid, she's a monster. She doesn't give up. She's dragging us into the light." Eleanor clenched her teeth. "If the court doesn't convict us, the press will. If the press doesn't, the public will. But remember this, one more testimony and you die before I do." That evening, the group sat on the rooftop of their apartment building, staring out at the sparkling city. Mason said, "You're insane, but beautifully insane." Noah raised a water bottle. "Here's to survival." Chloe looked at Lily. "You've done it all with your own blood." Lily simply smiled. "I just did what was right and I'm not done yet. 3 days. That was the amount of time Judge Arthur Vance requested to reassess the case objectively. And it was also the longest 3 days of Lily's life. She didn't sleep. She barely ate. But every day she stood in front of the courthouse, looking up at the grey stone building as if silently daring it. Chloe sat beside her, handing her a small pastry. "Eat something, you're about to turn into a ghost." Lily gave a faint smile. "I'll eat after the verdict." Noah checked his phone. Only 40 minutes left. Mason arrived, hair a mess. Word is lots of media are coming. Even the Washington Post and CNN. Lily nodded. Today's not just a hearing. Today's the day they can't look away anymore. Courtroom 3 was packed. The same people who once laughed at Lily now sat quietly. Reporters had cameras ready. On social media, the hashtag Justice for Sarah was trending. Sarah Hayes, her hair now grayer, her face hollow from nights in the detention center, was brought into court in a prison jumpsuit, but her eyes still sparkled when she saw Lily. "Mom," Lily whispered. Sarah reached through the bars to gently touch her daughter's shoulder. "I'm proud of you." Arthur Vance entered the room. No applause, no reactions. The atmosphere was as still as death. After reviewing all the new evidence, he began slowly. "The court concludes the defendant, Sarah Hayes, did not commit theft and was wrongfully accused based on falsified evidence." The courtroom remained silent, as if no one could believe what they just heard. The watch was found to have fingerprints matching Ethan Ashford. The recovered video shows deliberate planting of evidence. Witness Kevin Miller confirmed that Ethan attempted to sell the Rolex. Finally, an independent expert verified system interference. Vance took a breath and spoke as though lifting a weight off his chest. "The defendant, Sarah Hayes, is to be released immediately. The court orders a criminal investigation into Eleanor Ashford and her son, Ethan Ashford, for defamation, evidence tampering, and insurance fraud." The room erupted like a tightly packed firecracker. Applause, shouts, choked sobs. Lily didn't move. She just looked at her mother. Sarah whispered through tears, "You did it." A reporter rushed forward, shoving a mic at Lily. "How do you feel right now?" Lily turned. Her face was still swollen from bruises, but her voice was clear. "I studied law because no one stands up for the poor. If the law isn't for everyone, then it's no longer law." Applause burst out again. An old attorney stood up, eyes misty. "Congratulations." At the back, Eleanor was being escorted away in her expensive dress. She struggled, screaming, "I'm the victim. These trash just want money. They're not even human." Ethan said nothing. His face was pale like a marble statue. As he passed Lily, he paused briefly. "I didn't think you could do it." Lily simply replied, "I didn't do it alone." Luke lowered his head and was pushed away in silence. Outside the courthouse, hundreds had gathered. When Sarah stepped out, sunlight hit her face and she looked like someone who had just emerged from a deep pit. An older woman stepped from the crowd. It was Ms. Evelyn Reed, the librarian. "Mrs. Hayes, I once doubted your daughter. I'm sorry." Sarah took her hand and nodded. "It's all right. We're all afraid of what we don't understand." Lily and her friends stood beside her. Noah waved. Mason beamed. Chloe hugged Lily tightly. "We won." Lily replied, "No, we've only just begun." That evening on CNN's special news segment, a documentary recapped the entire case, from the unjust first trial to the objections of a poor 11-year-old girl to the final victory. The anchor said, "Perhaps in a society where truth is often buried under wealth, we need children like Lily to remind us justice doesn't belong to a class. It belongs to the heart that refuses to give up." In the small apartment, Sarah sat on the bed. Lily leaned against her shoulder. "Mom, if it weren't for the book you left behind, I wouldn't have known where to begin." Sarah smiled, brushing her hair back. "I never thought you'd read it, but I hoped. I read it because I couldn't stand watching them take you away like a thief. I know. You kept me alive in that darkness." They hugged. No more words, only silence, for the first time a peaceful one. In his private office, Arthur Vance pulled out an old copy of the U.S. Constitution and wrote on the first page, "For Lily Hayes, who reminded me that justice isn't a title, but a heart that stands for what's right." He looked out the window. The lights of Chicago still shone, but this time they felt warmer. At the Chicago Police Department headquarters, Eleanor Ashford and Ethan were escorted into the interrogation room. No more spotlights, no more silk scarves, mascara, or French perfume. Only the sound of handcuffs and fear. "We have enough evidence to indict," said Detective Miller, slamming a thick file on the table. "Camera data, witness statements, recorded threats." Ethan trembled. I was just doing what my mother told me." Miller looked at him coldly. "And you think just following orders makes you innocent?" Eleanor growled. "I can hire the 10 best lawyers in the United States." "Then you better start," Miller replied. "Because it'll take 100 to dig you out of this." Ethan muttered, "I don't want to go to prison." Eleanor turned to him, her eyes sharp as blades. "If you talk, you won't just go to prison. You won't survive to get out." Detective Miller said nothing, just signaled the guards. "Take them to separate cells." Back in Englewood, the kids gathered once again on the rooftop, their old war room. Noah held up a pastry box. "Cheers, Mrs. Hayes is free, and we're still alive." Chloe nodded. "More than that, we did something no one thought was possible." Mason laughed. "We're not invisible kids anymore." Lily looked around, then said, "I have news." She pulled out a letter with a red official seal. Everyone held their breath. Loyola University Chicago School of Law offers Lily Hayes a full scholarship in their special legal training program. Noah's jaw dropped. "No way." Lily smiled. "I'm going. But I wrote back and asked them to keep half the scholarship for other kids who don't have a voice." Chloe gasped. "You're crazy." Lily smiled gently. "If I'm the only one who gets to rise, it's not enough." The next day, Lily and her mother returned to their old home. The small dusty room, the desk still there, the place where it all began. Sarah picked up the law book, flipping to the first page where her handwriting still remained. "The Constitution doesn't belong to the powerful. It belongs to those who believe in it." "You live by my words," she whispered. Lily held her hand tightly. "And I'm not stopping there." 1 week later, at the Illinois Institute for Administrative Law, Judge Arthur Vance appeared before an internal review panel. They asked, "Why did you rush a conviction and ignore proper investigation procedure?" Vance offered no defense. He simply said, "Because I thought the poor couldn't be right." A panelist asked, "And what do you think now?" Vance raised his head. "Now I think I need to relearn the meaning of justice from an 11-year-old girl." The panel fell silent. No one laughed. They simply wrote in the minutes, recommended 6-month suspension for retraining in judicial ethics. Lily sat at her new desk, this time a real desk in a small classroom designed for a special program. On the whiteboard it read, "Law Office for the Voiceless." Chloe walked in, holding a coffee cup. "3 community members are here today for free legal consultation." Lily nodded. "Send them in." Mason passed by, placing documents on the table. "The lawsuit against the factory owner forcing miners to work night shifts looks like it needs a co-counsel." Lily smiled. "We have one. We always have each other." Sarah entered through the door carrying a bag of food. "You kids better eat lunch. The law doesn't protect an empty stomach." The group burst into laughter. Lily whispered, "Today I'm writing my first law." Noah asked, "What's it called?" Lily wrote on the board, "Article 1, no one is invisible before justice." The story of Lily Hayes is a powerful testament that justice does not belong only to the wealthy, but to anyone brave enough to stand for the truth. The greatest lesson is this: no matter how small, poor, or disregarded someone is, they can still change the world if they don't abandon their belief in what's right. Knowledge, courage, and friendship can dismantle even the most unjust systems. And most importantly, justice doesn't come on its own. It needs defenders. And sometimes the strongest of them is just a child.